What comes after the Potato Cactus? Is probably what you're wondering if you have watched the latest episode of my onechunk Ultimate Iron Man series. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, maybe it's best that you catch up first, if you don't want any spoilers. I'll put the link of the series in the description of this video. I started my journey like any other account that leaves Tutorial Island in Lumbridge and spent about 2000 hours in one square of 64 by 64 tiles, also known as a chunk. Lumbridge is most definitely one of the longest starting chunks, because of the 2 skill capes that need to be obtained and the limited methods of gaining XP. Getting 99 defense on men and women is, and will probably for a long time, be the longest and most tedious grind I've ever completed. But I managed to finish it, and I'm feeling on top of the world. I can finally play the game now and no grind will ever be a match for me again. For a while I could quickly unlock new map squares and expand my region from 1 to 5 chunks. Since there was little to no significant content that I could do in the chunks of Alcarid, they were what one would call free real estate. But I wasn't randomly unlocking free chunks, I had a plan. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper, but where did I put it? No, that's not it. Oh, what's this? It says, Hero Wars is the sponsor of this video. I'm sure you've seen these intriguing video game ads before, about the cartoony guy in all sorts of crazy situations. This game is actually real. Hero Wars is an exciting online RPG in which you have to collect heroes, go through the story and defeat bosses in raids together with your friends. Because it's almost Christmas, there are a lot of extra activities during the winter season. Progress through the advent calendar, start unlocking free battle pass, collect new heroes, decorate your Christmas tree for a bunch of awesome gifts, and piece together a mysterious story of Dominion. Hero Wars is constantly being updated and over 100 million players worldwide are already enjoying the game that is available in the App Store, Google Play or in your browser. Right now the developers are giving 5 top heroes for free to all new players, as well as 600 emeralds and 30,000 gold coins to start. Test your dream team in any of the 6 different modes, from a captivating story campaign to an incredible roguelike tower. Besides the awesome gameplay, Hero Wars actually has a rich and wide lore. You have a whole new universe to discover. As a matter of fact, a brand new animated short story called Lost Hero has just been released. Follow the link in the comments to watch it after you've watched this video. And after that, become a hero yourself. Click on the link in the description or scan the QR code and start playing Hero Wars right now. Thanks to Hero Wars for sponsoring this video. Alright, back to the plan I was talking about. Found it. I had my eyes on one item that would help my account so incredibly much, a looting bag. The looting bag only takes up one inventory spot and allows you to store up to 28 extra items inside, essentially doubling your inventory space, which is a very big deal for an Ultimate Iron Man without a bank. And at the time, I was dealing with a completely full inventory from all the loot I collected on the defense grind. Obtaining a looting bag can only be done in the wilderness, so I had to get there somehow. I figured my best option was to go to Edgeville using the canoe system, as it directly connects Lumbridge to Edgeville. Edgeville has a small underground part that is in the wilderness, where I could grab the looting bag and all my inventory troubles would be over. And Edgeville also looked like a very fun chunk to unlock, having quite a lot of content to complete. However, there was one grind that I wasn't looking forward to. Edgeville Dungeon also has an adamantite rock, which I would have to mine and smelt into an adamant bar. But without access to an anvil to conveniently train my smithing to level 70, having prior experience of doing this exact grind on a previous chunk account with a bank, I wanted to figure out a way of speeding this up and getting an anvil or any other good smithing training method first. That is why, before unlocking Edgeville, I passed through Alcarid towards the Giant Plateau to have access to the smithing minigame of Giant's Foundry. Absolutely ecstatic with the progression of my account, I got to the Giant's Plateau. Got all the rare new drops available to me from the Hill Giants and went on to Edgeville for the first time. Doing Giant's Foundry to get my smithing up for the adamant bar was an absolute breeze. Getting XP rates of up to 50k XP an hour was insane for my standards, multiple times faster than anything I had done up to this point. But there was one thing with this whole plan that I had vastly underestimated. In Edgeville Dungeon is a connection to the Varrock sewers, in which reside a group of moss giants. These not only drop mossy keys, which I needed to fight Bryophyta. If you missed that, it was in episode 8. But moss giants also drop a lot of seeds, including cactus seeds and potato cactus seeds. And because I decided to travel through Alcarid towards Giant's Foundry, I did have access to a cactus patch. Having access to the seed and the correct patch makes it an objective to get the farming level to be able to plant and harvest a potato cactus. Boy, did I underestimate how long it would take to get 64 farming. With my only methods of getting farming XP being raking weeds from only 2 farming patches in my area for a maximum of 96 XP an hour. Yes, you heard that right, 96 XP an hour. Planting some wild blood hops for every 4 seeds I can get, every approximately 200 moss giants I kill. And I can tell you that's not a training method to write home about either. And believe it or not, my biggest source of XP lamps from random events whenever I get lucky. After level 55 farming, luckily I can plant a normal cactus as well and continuously harvest cactus spines for a big increase in XP per day. Thank God for that, or I don't know if I would have been able to do this otherwise. And so this is how I need to get level 64 farming, which is at 407,000 XP. At the time of this recording, spoiler alert, I'm level 62, after 5 months of averaging 2000 farming XP per day. I know level 64 in a skill doesn't sound that insane, but time-wise, this grind from start to finish is very on par with the 99 defense grind in Lumbridge. I'm just lucky it isn't as click intensive. Now that I'm nearly at level 64, so close to being able to plant that potato cactus and finish everything there is to do in all my chunks, the question is, what am I doing next? One thing that I think I need to mention is that there is a possibility that I will not have finished everything by the time I'm done with the potato cactus. Luckily I will be done with farming though, and I would like to stay away from farming for as long as possible after this. But there is a chance some new content will be released in my region right before I get to leave. Jagex is planning to release a new mid-level PvM boss in the Varrock sewers, Scurious the Red King, which is supposed to teach players core PvM mechanics and combat. Great news for me, because I have absolutely no real PvM experience and actually suck at the game. This boss will also have a unique drop in the red spine that will allow you to create red bone weaponry, which I will have to obtain. And apparently they are also adding a pet to this boss, which is a unique drop here, so that means I'll have to go for my first pet as well. However exciting that is, it's also pretty sad as a onechunk UIM. I will very likely have to suicide at some point after this to organize my inventory, and thus I will lose the pet as I have no way to store it yet. However, that is some very exciting and refreshing content that I will be able to do in the near future. On the flip side, there is a chance that we have to wait a little longer for this boss to release and I'm able to unlock another chunk in time. So what is my plan going forward? Let's have a look at the chunk picker map. First of all, there are a couple of chunks close to the ones I've unlocked that are currently a no-go. To the west of my original starting chunk, in the same chunk as the Ham hideout, there's a tree patch. Since I am able to receive all sorts of tree seeds from bird nests from woodcutting, this would require me to get a magic seed and get 75 farming to plant it. Because I still have a lot of tree seeds in my looting bag and I can keep continuously harvesting from one potato cactus, getting from 64 to 75 farming would most likely be nothing compared to the grind from 1 to 64 farming. However, like I mentioned before, I would really like a break from a time-gated skill like farming, and I'm not going to pick any chunks with farming patches that add a new level objective. Needless to say, I also have no rush to get to Draenor Village, where I would be required to get 99 farming to be able to buy the farming skill cape. I'm looking forward to doing some more exciting and engaging content instead first, and I will try to keep up the passive farming XP from harvesting potato cacti in the meanwhile, so that these farming chunks will be free unlocks in the future. Then let's have a look south of Lumbridge, at the 2 chunks of Lumbridge Swamp. As far as I can tell, these 2 chunks aren't really a big deal anymore given my current stats. Apart from a primary fishing training method and access to the swamp caves with unique slayer monsters and drops, there isn't anything particularly special about these chunks. I would say they're almost free unlocks, but I don't see the point in unlocking either unless they are a part of a bigger ID that really helps me. The last thing I would want is unlocking a random chunk again that would come to bite me in some obscure way later on. But if I'm forgetting something here that could really help me out, please correct me in the comments. Alright, let's have a look at the 2 chunks that border the farm north of Lumbridge. If you didn't know any better, these look pretty empty apart from some fields. But as you do know, these wheat fields give an entrance to Puro Puro, which is an area packed with new objectives. Just to name a few: 89 Hunter to catch a Lucky Impling, 95 Fletching to fletch a Dragon Dart, 79 Crafting to craft Black D-eyed Fembraces, and 23 Runecraft to craft a Lava Rune. All in all, with the progress of my account, Puro Puro doesn't seem like the worst grind anymore. My stats are already quite close to the levels that are required, apart from Hunter. And all the new items I will have access to from the Impling loot does sound very interesting. Maybe I can first get a decent Hunter training method, like the orange salamanders in the desert, and then train for 89 Hunter there for the Pura Pura objective. That sounds more than doable. Then, all chunks with a wheat field are already partially dealt with, since there are quite a lot across the entire map, and then I don't have to worry about the Pura Pura grind anymore. The Elcarit mine could also be a decent next unlock. There's not really a downside to it as far as I can tell. It essentially has the same types of ores available as the Edgeville dungeon mine, but it is easier accessible and it has gold ore rocks, which combined with the gem shop could be very useful for jewelry. Think about the places I could teleport to with unlimited access to games necklaces and rings of dueling, all the way across the map to Berthorpe, Barbarian Assault and Castle Wars. Those are some big chunks, but very interesting to keep in mind. Mage Training Arena will probably be a very good unlock later on somewhere, but absolutely not right now. It will require a hell of a lot of runes and my supply of those are limited at the moment. I'm definitely postponing this until I have a rune shop that provides me with all the runes necessary. To quickly touch on Emir's Arena and the Sitherite Abbey, I don't feel like these chunks bring anything to the table at this time, so I don't see the point of unlocking them at this time. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And then there's the Kelphite Queen chunk, which is also pretty close, but I'm going to try to avoid doing the Kelphite Queen for as long as possible, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to do every grind Limpert has done, not yet at least. I've experienced the Kelphite Queen in Leagues 4 and I am not a fan. Especially with everything I currently have access to, KQ would be rough. Let's move over to see what's around Edgeville now. Barbarian Village seems like a decent unlock, nothing too crazy of a grind and access to a lot of new monsters and the coolest boots in the game. West Varrock has the Cooking Guild and the Cooking Skill Cape, so that should probably wait until I have a good fishing method. Or maybe Temperos, I totally skipped over that, I could go straight to Temperos if I want. There's a little boat connecting it to Elcarit. That could be fun, because Temperos could also be my first pet then. However, I feel like I don't have enough inventory space right now to deal with all the rewards I'd get. Anyway, here's an interesting one. Through Edgeville Dungeon and the Varrock Sewers, I would be able to come out on this side and unlock the Varrock Palace chunk. This chunk, however, has an estate agent in it, which sells a player-owned house, but also the construction skill cape. A player-owned house would be extremely useful for me as an Ultimate Ironman, because there's so much crap I could store here instead of keeping it in my inventory. All my clue scroll rewards, some outfits, capes, my pets. However, the construction skill cape also means I'd have to go straight for 99, and I don't have a good training method. I don't even think I have a way to get planks right now. I'd have to find a way to get to the lumberyard first, and even then I need a good moneymaker to pay for the planks. The player-owned house is definitely something I want to go for as soon as possible, but just not yet. Something else I do not want to unlock yet are these chunks to the west of Edgeville. The monastery has the prayer skill cape, and I don't see myself burying big bones until level 99 prayer. That would require me to kill about 1 million hill giants, more than twice the amount of men and women I killed in Lumbridge, so no thank you. And the 2 chunks south of there will probably stay locked for a very long time to come as well, because they would require me to get an uncut onyx from a gem bag in the Motherlode mine, which has a 1 in 2.5 million chance per gem bag, if I'm not mistaken. It would be wiser to first go and obtain an uncut onyx elsewhere, like at Zulra, Zalcano, Tsar City, or heck even Skotizo, before unlocking the Dwarven mine. And lastly, I could go and unlock the wilderness if I wanted to. I know the wilderness is extremely dangerous as an Ultimate Ironman, because if you die, you don't keep a single item, you lose everything you have, except if you deadpile your items first. Then you have an hour to enter the wilderness risk-free, as long as you're in time to pick your items back up. But is the wilderness something I should be looking at yet? Something I should be looking at ever, as someone who's terrible at PvP? Let's get to the next segment of this video. What chunks am I most looking forward to? I was just talking about the wilderness, and for some reason I'm now talking about what chunks I'm most looking forward to. That can't be right. Well, somehow it's true. I keep thinking about how cool it would be to complete all the wilderness PVM content on an Ultimate Ironman. I would probably take it one row of chunks at a time, from left to right, except for the LMS chunk miss me with that PvP content, and then slowly work my way deeper into the wilderness until I have unlocked it all. Would it be very useful? Probably not, but the goal of the account is to eventually unlock the entire map of RuneScape, so at one point it has to be done. So I'd rather do it pretty early on, at a time when I don't have a lot of items on me, or when I don't have anything I don't want to lose. Instead of putting it off until I have a lot of endgame gear from other places already, then I would have a lot more stuff to that pile and a lot more valuable stuff to lose. But yeah, I don't know when the right time will be. Maybe some of you have some advice for me on how or when to tackle the wilderness. But it sure is something that excites me, and I don't know why. Another region I'm very intrigued by and excited to explore is Mauritania. With all the niche content in this region, it may very well be a lot of fun on an Ultimate Iron Man. But if I have to choose one piece of content I think I'd really enjoy, it would be Barrows, obviously. Just the idea of completing such a big collection log as the Barrows one in one go sounds so cool. And when the time is right, I think the Barrows gear will be very useful to prepare for other PVM content. I will just have to pick and choose which sets I want to keep over others with my limited inventory, but it can't hurt to have it all available to me. I bet I will have to return there some more times after the fact to re-obtain gear that I thought I could get rid of. Next up, I would say that I'm looking forward to making my way towards the region of Tiranwen. Something about it has always fascinated me, although I've spent very little time there myself on other accounts, but the fact that you unlock parts of the region by progressing in the questline speaks to me. Maybe that's not strange to hear from someone playing the game one chunk at a time. Not to mention the two main PVM encounters, Zulrah and the Gauntlet, which are game changing for Iron Man. I only know what I've seen in other people's videos and live streams, but I'm excited to try them and grind them to completion. And by completing Zulrah, I'll also get an uncut onyx there, which would mean I don't have to get it from a gem bag in the mining guild like I mentioned earlier, making the mining guild an easy unlock afterwards. And lastly, I wish I could easily get to Zaya, but unfortunately it is locked behind a level 83 farming requirement for planting a spirit tree in Port Sarim, because the only way of getting to Zaya the first time is through Port Sarim. However, I'm hopeful that maybe when we get the release of Varlamore and or the sailing skill, it will allow us to travel to that continent in different ways, if I haven't already reached 83 farming by then. Also, Varlamore itself sounds great to explore on a one chunk account, because it will all be brand new content that nobody has done before. However, I can imagine that there will be a lot of new YouTube series popping up about one chunk accounts starting in Varlamore, but nevertheless, I can't wait to experience the new region myself. What will be the very last chunk I will unlock? At first, I thought most likely I will be postponing any PvP content until the very end. Thus, Ferox Enclave, which has Last Man Standing, which requires 1000 wins to complete the collection log. And possibly Bounty Hunter, I don't even know what that entails, but I'm just so uninterested to try PvP myself that I don't see myself doing these before anything else. But then I realized there's one chunk that is so time gated and long to complete that there's no point in unlocking it before anything else. And I'm talking about the east side of the Woodcutting Guild, the place where you can offer the colored eggs from bird nests for a small chance of receiving evil chicken outfit pieces. It would just take so long collecting all these eggs from woodcutting and birdhouse runs, with no interesting content to do in the meantime. And as an Ultimate Iron Man, it's not like I can save up a lot of these eggs or nests beforehand, because I have no bank to store them. I can only start collecting the eggs as soon as I unlock the chunk to offer them. And even that will probably not be the last chunk of the current world map that I want to unlock. There's actually a tiny loophole that I can use to work on the evil chicken outfit while simultaneously working on my actual final grinds. My rule regarding clue scrolls is that I have to complete the entire collection log for a tier of clue scrolls as soon as I can perform all of the possible clue steps in the game for that tier. That doesn't mean I can't work on clue scrolls before I have access to all the possible steps though. As you have seen, I've done quite a few beginner clues in just Lumbridge already. So if I just keep, let's say, one chunk with a hard step, one chunk with an elite step, and one chunk with a master step locked as last, or technically one chunk with a step of all three of those locked as last, then I can unlock the evil chicken outfit woodcutting guild chunk and work on multiple grinds at the same time. I could collect my eggs very passively while grinding out clues. That is probably how this account's endgame is going to look, if I ever manage to get there. But I've killed men and women for months, raked weeds for months, how can it get any worse than this? I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video about just me talking. I really like to speculate and have conversations about the future of the account. There just hasn't been too much to talk about in the past months, with me being stuck in a boring grind for so long. but it's almost over, and I will do my best to not get myself in another situation like this. I promise to consult the people in my Discord for a second opinion before I take action next time. So what exactly is next after the potato cactus? Maybe if you ask nicely I'll tell you, but I can give you a small hint. I really want to get a third skill cape, so I'll be doing whatever is needed to accomplish that. Thank you all so much for watching, like the video and let me know your thoughts, and thanks again to Hero Wars for sponsoring this video. Use the link in the description to download it if you really want to support my channel. See ya!